Okay, well, that's one way to start the football season. Ravens lose 41-40, and somehow that's the first time that's ever been a score in an NFL game in the history of the NFL. That was a nice little tidbit to add. Oh boy, 41-40. But you know what? I'm not going to pile on because I have a lot of confidence after the game. I don't. It's not that I'm happy that the Ravens lost, so we'll get that out of the way. But you know what my takeaway was is the entire team has all this pain for past 4 or 5 years, getting close, trying to get over the hump. And the only guy on the team who didn't really have that pain, who didn't have a play or didn't have a moment where you could kind of blame him, was Derrick Henry. So now he's got his moment, and I think it's going to lead to the Ravens just playing motivated football for the rest of the season. I don't think the season's over. I don't think it's indicative of what's going to happen at the end of the year. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I really don't. I would actually argue the opposite. And if they close out the game, they're winning 40-25, and they got the ball back. They got the ball, and it's 40-25 with 8-9 minutes left, whatever it was. So in a reverse world, the Ravens go down the field, they make it 43-25, and the game ends that way, right? Bills can't score. You come away from the game, and you're going to feel much better as a Ravens fan, but you didn't win anything. All you did was win one game. Maybe it breeds some overconfidence, and now I don't care what happens in September, October, November, December. Nobody's going to be happy, and maybe that's just what needs to happen. Maybe we all need to just play angry for the next 4 months. I don't know why Derrick Henry fumbled. I don't know why that's like quote unquote meant to be. Same thing with Andrews last year, but all these things keep adding up. And, with Flowers and the year before in the AFC Championship game, and now all three of them have felt it. And Lamar obviously has felt it the most with the narrative. So it's like we're all in it together. I don't blame Harbaugh last night. I know my headline says, what would you do? Would you go for it on 4th and 3? Well, it'd be nice if the quarterback wasn't cramping and we had an opportunity to even think about it. So be it. He was cramping. He ran off the field and couldn't get it done. He even said in the post game, Lamar did, that if he wasn't cramping, he would have lobbied to go for it. Harbaugh, for his part, said after the game that wasn't really a consideration to go for it on 4th and 3. So let's discuss that for a minute. It's 4th and 3. You're on your own 37, and you still have 3 timeouts. Because you have 3 timeouts, you have to go for it if Lamar is in the position to go for it. It's kind of a moot point because you don't want to use the timeout to get Lamar healthy, because then you really need all 3 timeouts. So at that point, you just punt it. But in the hypothetical, if Lamar is ready to go there, you got to go for it on 4th and 3 because the defense is just, they're flailing. They can't get a stop. The momentum's out of control. And even if you don't get the 4th down, if you don't give up a 1st down and you force the Bills to go 3 and out, which the Bills are going to play that pretty conservative. It's certainly not 4-down territory because they need the field goal. So hypothetically, the Ravens don't get the 1st down on 4th and 3 there. Bills get the ball at the Ravens 37. They go 3 and out, but they make the field goal. Ravens are going to get the ball back with a chance to go get the field goal to win the game. No timeouts in about a minute or so. So I would have done that. I think that's the right move. Harbaugh felt like, hey, let's pin them deep. Maybe the defense will eventually get a stop. Nope, that's not the case. They just could not get a stop. So big picture, not worried about the Ravens. Kind of think, low key, it might even be a better situation that they lost like that. Defensively, X's and O's. I hate to, kick somebody when they're down, but Roquan he's certainly not 52. And that stiff arm in the middle of the field that he took from James Cook en route to the Bills comeback last night was pretty indicative of his drop off. Really, really poor performance by him. Doesn't do anything super dynamic. And it reminds me of when that trade first happened. And you're like, why would the Bears do that? The Bears are, notorious for having these great linebackers. They drafted Roquan. You would think they would want to pay him, but it was the work ethic. It was the lack of effort. It was the fact that their team wasn't a good run defense with him there. So why would we re-sign him? And as soon as he gets to Baltimore, he was easily a fan favorite. He had the chip on his shoulder, and he's looking like one of those guys that got paid and lost a step. And maybe that's why the Bears didn't want to invest in him, but he wasn't good yesterday at all. And I think that was the main reason. In the middle of the defense, there was just no leadership, no adjustments being made. I thought that the secondary, obviously could have played much better. So it's not just Roquan, but I don't know. He's the leader of the defense, and that stiff arm was a tough one to take. I really love Wiggins. That was the thing that before I continue to go negative, I really like Wiggins. I like the attitude, like the energy. I like the play he made on Keon Coleman on the 2-point conversion. I love the fact that the Ravens stopped him on 3 2-point conversions. That's really impressive. Kyle Hamilton is, no drop off there. It's just amazing all over the place. Great game from him. And the Bills got lucky, if you want to call it that, with the tip pass. Of course, that's what it does. So was the Ravens defense good enough to win the game? Yeah, if that ball falls incomplete, they're good enough to win the game, but it didn't. And that's pretty much that. As far as the pass rush, it was pretty non-existent. The one thing I will give them grace for is the Bills tackles are pretty solid, but Owe and Van Noy and Mike Graham, nobody was really anywhere. Just the pressure wasn't great. Allen was great. What are you going to do? It is what it is. Ravens lose. They're going to get the Clowns next week at home. And I just, as long as we don't end up in Buffalo at the end of the year, then this game's really not going to matter. If we do end up in Buffalo at the end of the year, then obviously it matters. But the Ravens are the best team in football. If you just watched everybody play yesterday, including Thursday and Friday, you're like, man, that's I'd rather be a fan of that team. I'm not going to just, be miserable today and think that we just are never going to get over the hump. I think that maybe now we can face our demons head on instead of facing them head on in January, because it just is what it is. You're not going to be able to get away from it. It's going to be the topic of conversation. They probably won't be happy at all for the rest of the year because of the way they lost, and maybe that's what they need. So it is what it is. Ravens lose. Lamar's amazing. Derrick Henry's amazing. I mean, what Lamar did on that one run with Russo, like that sequence where Russo and Bosa, which, if you're going to find a better tandem of pass rushers, good luck. So that they have him cornered. It's going to be one of those plays that's on his Hall of Fame highlight reel, because it literally looks like, I don't know how he gets out of it. Of course he does. Runs for 19 yards, 23 yards. I think it was a total of 76 yards. Anyway, and then Derrick Henry just, I don't know, he hit like the speed burst / the Bills guy. Felt like, hey, I don't really need to chase him down and get stiff arm in front of everybody. And that was just that sequence right there. It was like, okay, we'll be fine. Like, we're going to be in the playoffs. We're going to have a chance to win. No need to be negative. One thing I will be negative, and then we'll get to the other games, is what are we going to do? Like, I'm trying to figure out, because if it's not Lamar Jackson, because I think Lamar is pretty mild-mannered compared to other NFL players. And I would say the same thing with Derrick Henry. Like, you're almost looking at two guys that are really chill, like just their personas. And what we had yesterday is a situation where we're going to have an incident that the NBA had, where you're going to have players go into the stands. But unlike what happened with the Pistons or the Pacers and Artest and them, and someone's going to actually, I think, die, because these football players with the adrenaline going, and if somebody gets body slammed on the concrete, and what I'm talking about is we have a fan touching Lamar, touching Hopkins. Lamar puts two hands on him, pushes him back. Like, the fan got it off easy. The wrong player at the wrong situation with a headbutt instead of two hands, and now you have a helmet hitting a civilian. Like, I don't know exactly what we're supposed to do. I'm not really the fun police, but that was pretty wild to see that the security is, I guess it's always been like that, but man, feeling froggy if you're a Bills fan. And then how about, are we throwing water, whatever it was, water bottle, beer bottle? I don't think too many Bills fans are drinking water, but whatever it was, trying to hit Henry as he comes into the end zone. In my opinion, the game should be stopped. Like, as soon as the game actually should be stopped, because if you're not going to stop the game, you're asking for something really bad to happen, and you got to draw attention to what's happening. You got to bring all the security down, because that's just pretty wild. It was almost glossed over last night, as during the broadcast. I felt like there should have been more emphasis. And then this morning, I know it'll be a topic because Lamar put two hands on him, and there's good video of it. If you're on the side of Lamar's in trouble, or Lamar did something wrong, you're on. We'll say nicely, you're on the wrong side of that argument, and won't accuse you of any pejoratives there, but I think it'd be pretty obvious if you thought Lamar was at fault where your heart's at, because that was unbelievable to me. All right, Ravens lose. Ravens 41-40. Ravens lost 41 to fucking 40. Yep, that's what happened. What happened with the rest of the league? I went 7-8 somehow yesterday, which feels like, I don't know. Part of me wish I just went 2 and whatever, 13. 7-8 just feels like a whole lot of time to, oh man. Yeah. So I go 7-8, trying to figure out who's good, who's not after week one. Be careful. You figure out some things, but it's usually going to take a month. But all right. So what happened? Let's just go in order. Ooh, so the game I got the most wrong, may as well start there. It's first game on my list. Giants Cardinals. You know, in all fairness to the Giants, the defense was good enough to win. When the Giants didn't get a touchdown, it was 7-0 for a while, and the Giants got bailed out when they were on the goal line, had another chance to get in the end. They just could not get in the end zone. That was the red flag for the season. Not only for the game, but like they can't get in the end zone. Like they're this close. They can't just run the ball right through. Russ can't figure something out. Really bad loss for the Giants. We'll know a hell of a lot more about Washington on Thursday because they're going to play the Packers. So we'll kind of leave Washington alone because I don't know. It was a conservative game plan for the most part. Their defense was good, but I don't know how much of it was the Giants. Anyway, Washington wins easy. All the games went under. Pretty amazing, right? Besides the Jets Steelers game, which go figure. But all the other games are going under until we get to last night. Just the way betting is. Anyway, Panthers Jaguars. That game gets delayed. I pretty much saw nothing besides a highlight of Bryce Young making the worst pass probably of the day. Although Tua would say, "Hey, I throw a couple ones that might be worse." But yeah, the Panthers weren't good. Kind of the same thing with the Giants analysis. I need to see a couple more weeks because I was obviously wrong yesterday. I don't know if the Panthers are terrible, but they weren't good yesterday. And I don't know if the Jags are good, but for their defense to play as well as it did yesterday, weather wasn't great. And yeah, Jacksonville just dominated. So that game wasn't close. Jaguars rolled 26-10. The Raiders was a game I got right, and big red flag for the Patriots because that Raiders defense I don't think is that good. And Drake May was not good at all. Didn't see a ton of the game, but the fact that the Raiders just pretty much controlled the game the whole way through, and that's a huge win. It's a tough spot. Home opener, Vrabel, West Coast team playing an early game. A lot of reasons to want to take New England there, but I don't think New England's good. And I think they're going to have to figure out if Drake May is the quarterback. Do they need a few more weapons? Because I know they want him to be the quarterback. I know there's flashes, but reading a defense is a next level thing. Ask CJ Stroud. We'll get to him. But, once they get film on you, that's why Lamar's so amazing. You figure Lamar starts off, he can't read the effing field. Now he's does whatever he wants. By the way, I didn't even talk about Zay Flowers. Like, he's just awesome. Like, what a just wide open. Every play seems like he's wide open. Cardinal Saints. Backbreaker. If you had the Saints trying to cover, 6.5 is a stupid number. You bump it up to 7 if you're betting your own money. Lesson learned there. Yeah, Cardinals. I think they're going to be really good this year. It's a good win for them because they held on. Kyler wasn't great, but it's a tough environment. I said that yesterday. That's why I like the Saints. It's just home opener for the Saints is always a tough spot. They just couldn't get it done. Spencer Rattler, though, I kind of like him. It's just like gutty. Feel like he'll win a couple playoff games like 10 years from now as a backup somewhere, or maybe not quite 10 years, but he just feels like a guy that'll stick around. Kind of a guy's guy. He made a really good pass. I thought the game was going to go to overtime. Saints probably would have gone for it. But anyway, they dropped the ball. Cardinals win. What a crazy game. I'm telling you, this Falcons team, you can't bet on them. Do not do it. If you did it at the end of last year and then you did it yesterday, I feel like shame on you because they have no idea how to close out a game. You think Ravens have a hard time closing out a game? This Falcons team is so dysfunctional. Their play calling is ridiculous. Every play, you feel like you're stressing out. And they have so many good players. Penix was great yesterday down the stretch, but they couldn't get it done. Baker is so effing good in the pocket. What a post route that Ibuka ran. This Bucs team is going to be they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to win the division. I think that's the most obvious takeaway from yesterday. If you weren't 100% sure about that before the season, yeah, the Saints and the Panthers and the Falcons didn't exude much confidence. And I would argue that the Bucks, being banged up, that's why the spread was the way it was. What a comeback win. Baker in the pocket he's next level. Like a lot of these other guys, including the two guys last night, Josh and Lamar, they use their feet, they move around. That's fine. That works. But Baker he's really got that pocket presence, and he can move a little bit too, but he takes some hits. I was super impressed. Bucks win. Bijan Robinson is amazing. The Falcons misuse him. I think if you just substitute the Vikings coach O'Connell or Shanahan or McVay for Raheem Morris in Atlanta's probably in the NFC Championship game. Like their offense has so much talent. They're going to get a new GM, new coach. That thing's going to get blown up. All right, Colts destroy the Dolphins, and the Colts just continue to destroy everything I tried to do related to them. Lost all my money last year on the Colts. Faded them yesterday because, I don't know. Daniel Jones as a quarterback didn't seem like a great thing to bet on, but they just dominated the game. The Dolphins couldn't get him off the field, and then when the Dolphins had the ball, the Dolphins got off the field as quickly as possible. What a horrible performance for the Dolphins. Horrible. That might be one of those games where you look back on it and you're like, man, the Dolphins won 10 games this year. How did they lose opening day like that? Or the Dolphins are going to win 3 games and their entire program is a complete disaster because the Colts won 33-8 yesterday. If you would have said the scores afterwards, like, hey, one of the games was 33-8, wouldn't your last bet be the Colts beat the Dolphins 33-8? That doesn't even make any sense. Whatever. Colts destroy them. I'm pissed at myself for taking the stupid Bengals. I knew to take the Browns plus the 5.5, and for some reason talked myself out of it. And that's my worst bet of the day. Worst bet of the day, dumbest bet of the day, flipped the bet. And I even had Justin tell me he's taking the Browns. I should have just known. The Bengals never play well to start the season. So even if they were going to win, it was going to be some weird lucky game. The worst fan to be yesterday's got to be Browns / the team I'm going to get to next. Because this Browns team, just what are we doing? Look at the stats of the way their defense played in the second half against Burrow. And you come away from that game, and thank God we play them next week because they got to be the most depressed team coming out of week 1. They have no weapons. They sabotaged the season by having 0 weapons. Flacco's out here doing the best he can, and no one can catch the freaking ball. The defense looks legit, so the Ravens better not turn the ball over next week and make this a 4-quarter game. But with that being said, the Ravens defense should be able to bounce right back because this Browns team is not dynamic on offense. We'll say that. Good win, though, for the Bengals. I hate to say it, but the Bengals defense bailing them out and them getting lucky is good juju for them. Steelers beat the Jets in the most frustrating loss. At least I won the gambling bet. But no one likes Pittsburgh. No one likes Aaron Rodgers. And no one wants him to have all this glory for this week. And Jalen Ramsey's so unlikable. And yet they're the reasons that Pittsburgh overcomes like a dynamic Jets offense, dare I say, like the way they ran the ball. Justin Fields was really, really good yesterday. The Jets-Bills this week is going to be an interesting game because the Jets are down. If they can somehow bounce back, this Bills team has got to be exhausted. Jets should be able to run against them, but what a tough loss for the Jets. They lose 34-32 in a game that rivals the Colts 33-8 win over the Dolphins, where, yeah, actually that's the biggest surprise. If I said there was a game 34-32 yesterday, the last choice would be the Steelers-Jets. There's 0% chance anybody thinks those two teams are getting in the 30s, but that's what happened. Pittsburgh wins. Rodgers looked good and Metcalf looked good. And the Jets defense looked good in like moments, but yet Rodgers responded. Not a great sign if you were fading the Steelers all year like I am, but we'll see. It is week 1. The Niners, I'm telling you, this is going to be a bad year for the Seahawks. They just don't have the right chemistry. They don't have the right – something's just off. The Niners squeak out of there. The Niners are always hurt. It's just amazing. Kittle gets hurt. Purdy threw a terrible interception, but then does enough to win. Like he is a gamer. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to the Niners. It's a great win for them. Road win against Seahawks. They don't care how they get it done. They just want to win that game. That's one of those where, especially week 1, but for that particular game, win in Seattle, home opener, Good for them. Good for me. That was a game I won. I had the under. Should have just taken the under in every game. That would have been nice, but not the case. The 4 o'clock games were just bad. They were a little compelling, but not great football. Titans, they need to fire the coach. Like I don't have time to go over the play-by-play with it because I'm just going to get even more angry than I was yesterday. But the end of the first half is one of the worst. Like it's a fireable offense after week 1. I remember when Harbaugh was screwing up the clock a few years ago, and then the Ravens hired somebody to come in and help them. The Titans coach, what is it, Callahan? He doesn't deserve that grace. He just needs to go because the Broncos tried to lose the game yesterday. The Titans defense played amazing, and yet at least they covered. But what a terrible game. And Sean Payton is an arrogant piece of shit too, because what are you doing? If you bet on the Broncos and he doesn't kick that field goal, I mean, you're losing your mind at him. And if you don't want to kick the field goal there at the end of the game, what's it, 4th and 8? It's a 53-yard field goal in Denver, which is, knock 5 yards off. So it's an easy field goal relative to where we're at. You're up 8. It's a game-winning field goal. You miss it. The Titans get the ball. No timeouts. A minute left. 60-ish yards to go for a touchdown. Fine. You don't like that scenario. You take a 5-yard delay. Maybe the Titans decline it. Whatever. You punt the ball. Titans get the ball at the 10. Whatever. And then they got to go an extra 30, 40 yards. You don't go for it on 4th and 8 with Bo freaking Nix. I don't even think you go for it on 4th and 8 with Patrick Mahomes or Lamar or Josh. Sean Payton loves to be the smartest guy in the room. And maybe he is in some rooms, but this Broncos team, I'm telling you, don't bet on the Broncos this year. Didn't like them at all. Titans, I think, would be way better with a different coach. There's not too many times in the NFL that I think a coach makes a dramatic difference. I think it's pretty much within the margins, give or take. But when you have a terrible coach who has no idea what they're doing, fuck the Titans. Jesus, they're going to kill you if you bet the Titans this year. Rams beat the Texans because CJ Stroud and this Texans offense looks like, I'm not sure if Stroud's lost his superpowers. I didn't see a tremendous amount to go over each play, and I'm looking forward to actually the breakdown of that game more than any other game this week because the Texans offense just couldn't get going. I had a lot of people that I trust their sports betting opinions, and they had the under in that game, and I couldn't get behind it. Turns out that was the best. A lot of these games obviously went under, but that one was way under. Rams win 14-9. The Rams defense is top notch. That's going to be the main reason they're going to be in the playoffs because the offense will figure it out. I told you Puka's my favorite receiver last year. What a guy. Just what a guy. The Rams offense will get going eventually. I think the defense for the Texans is, I look at an idiot saying the Ravens and the Texans have the 2 best defenses. Not yesterday. Texans have the best defense. That defense is tough. Packers would beg to differ as the Packers shut down the Lions in, I guess, a shockingly uncompetitive game. Give the Lions a little bit of grace because the Packers home opener is not an easy place to be, but deer in headlights would describe Jared Goff yesterday and the Lions. Just not a good look for Green Bay, for the Lions at all, as Green Bay just destroyed them. And more importantly for Green Bay, Jordan Love looked good. Jordan Love plays like that, they can win the Super Bowl. I was pessimistic, maybe not pessimistic. Wanted to see more, whatever the word is. I wanted to see more on Jordan Love. I saw a lot yesterday that makes me think the Packers are going to go to the playoffs. And because the rest of the team is pretty solid. Jacobs didn't get going, and the Packers still won yesterday. That's all the effing games. I can't believe the Ravens lost. Oh my gosh. The Ravens lose 41-40. But again, just remember, it's not a big deal. If you try to make it a big deal, find something else to talk about. There's a lot of other games, a lot of other football stuff. You're gonna run in circles because who are you gonna blame for the loss yesterday? What do you want to do exactly? What's the solution? Fire Hardball? The team doesn't know how to close. All you're doing is going to go philosophical and psychological. And if you want to do that, have at it. I think it's as simple as go the other way. If you want to go psychological and whatever I just said, and think about that, maybe it's motivation, because that just feels like a better way to look at it. Because if you just want to analyze the game, the X's and the O's, I don't know what exactly play I would have done differently, or exactly, with hindsight being 2020, we wouldn't have run, I formed Derrick Henry on first down for 1 yard and then Zay Flowers for an end around. Sure. But am I 100% sure that I wouldn't have called those plays based on what the defense was and everything that happened during the game? So if you're going to really argue that, then you're arguing against Monken. And then it's just, I think it becomes a silly argument. I think it becomes a circular argument where you're not saying anything. By the time you finish bitching, you just have to say that we got really unlucky on that tip pass. It would have been nice if Tyler Luke would have made the extra point. And Josh Allen is just as good as Lamar at football. If not, Lamar might be a little bit better. You maybe have Lamar. I don't know. Josh was, I think the main thing that you have to look at from an X's and O's and a Jimmy's and Joe's, if you will, is Jair Alexander and the back end of the Ravens secondary. When you watch the all 22 film, if you want to take the time to do it or listen to people who are going to break it down, you're going to find lots of holes. We're going to find that there wasn't a pass rush, and you're going to have to come away from it and say, all right, let's give it a few weeks, because it is week 1. They were tired. They were on the field the entire game, and I'm not going to panic. I love the Vikings tonight. Vikings minus 1.5 at Chicago. Take the Vikings. I usually don't sell anything on here or try to push, but I love the Vikings tonight. So I hope I'm right, because it's probably the game I like the most. I'm going to fall into that Monday trap. And I hope it's not a trap, but I'm saying it out loud, because when you lose going into Monday night and then you love the Monday night game, you better be sure you love it, because do you love it or you just want to get your money back? Here's my 30 seconds on the Vikings. Their defense, talk about in a week 1 situation and not knowing what the hell's going to happen. That Brian Flores defense is going to spook Ben Johnson's offense and Caleb Williams. JJ McCarthy will hand the ball off to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to be a good prop tonight. I'm all over the Vikings. I think the defense carries the day. Take the Vikings would be my recommendation. And all right, have a good day. Have a good afternoon. Woo. Hopefully you had a good day yesterday. Maybe a better day than me. See you guys Wednesday or Thursday. So, all right, have a good day. All right, buddy. Here you go.